We're back. You're watching the weekly show. Bill went back to do whatever Bill does at the county. My guest now is Keenan Hughes. And Keenan, you're from what redevelopment concern?
Phillips Price Grago, planning firm based in Hoboken.
What do they do?
We are a planning and land use consulting firm. We work for municipalities and private developers throughout the state on land use and zoning and redevelopment issues.
And what is your background? How do you become a redevelopment guy? What education do you have to do that?
Well, so I have a background training in urban planning.
For some reason I knew urban planning was coming up.
Yeah, well, I'm not here to surprise. So
is that taught in college, urban planning?
In graduate school.
Graduate school.
Right.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn.
Okay, very good school.
Studied urban planning and historic preservation there, and joined my firm back in 2008, and been in the consulting business for about 8 years now.
Lucky you're not here with the FOL people, historic preservation and the landmark Lowe's Theater.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they're big. Actually, I'm kind of into it. I don't like it when people force me to preserve history. Like they force a municipality to say this. You want to save history, buy it. I have a '64 Dodge Polara.
That sounds like a significant landmark to me.
But nobody forced me to save it. It was my decision to restore this car. And a lot of the people and a lot of the historic groups, their heart's in the right place. But then they force these municipalities to save this. Or entire sections like Jersey City down in downtown, Harmon Cove. That's all historic preservation down there. If you want to change your window, you have to jump through a hoop to change your window.
It's a balance.
We just did another historic designation in Jersey City, I'm saying, on West Side Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, some of these people found out the next day that their house is historically protected, so if you wanted to put a coat of paint on it outside, you had to get this approval.
Right.
I'm all in favor of saving history, but don't force me to save it.
Understood.
You want my house to be historic? Buy it off me, then you do what you want.
Right.
So when you were a kid, is this what you wanted to do? Urban planning, and how do you get into that?
No, I had some experience working on the communications marketing side for an architecture urban planning firm, which got me interested in the field, and went back to graduate school for it, and I'm really happy to be where I am today.
What municipalities, you're here in particular for Seaside Heights.
That's
we have
right.
a studio down here. We do a lot with Mayor Boz and a group down there.
Right.
What municipalities have you dealt with besides Seaside Heights?
So our firm works for a number of municipalities throughout the state. Fort Lee was one example.
That's where they closed that bridge in Fort Lee, wasn't it? Yeah, that bridge thing.
That's right, that's right.
I think my governor's involved in that bridge thing. Yeah.
Actually, here in North Bergen, we've done some work over the years.
You must know that
Montclair,
Sacco guy. Nick Sacco, great guy, great man.
In Bayonne.
Jimmy Davis and his gang out there. Yeah.
Right. Morristown, back a few years.
Now, what are you saving in Bayonne? Historic? Is it for urban renewal?
No,
urban planning,
it's more on the redevelopment side in Bayonne. Right.
Because Jimmy Davis is really trying to push Bayonne into a renaissance, where he's trying to get a lot of activity. He's trying to bring jobs and construction in there, affordable housing, new development.
Right.
There's a lot of changes
tremendous redevelopment opportunities there around the light rail and other former
MOT,
industrial sites.
The old port there.
Yeah.
Jimmy Davis sees Jersey City, saying, I can get some of this.
Right.
But then you look at Nick Sacco in North Bergen, Nick is like a little at a time. Nick doesn't like traffic, that's what it is. A little development is okay.
Right.
You wound up in Seaside Heights. How do you maybe you went down to the boardwalk, because I happen to like being on the boardwalk there. How do you wind up in Seaside Heights, a little 17-block long borough?
Right. Well, obviously Seaside Heights is well known throughout the state. It has a lot of fond memories for people who.
Well, we're trying to change some of those memories. Mayor Boz wants to have it more family, getting away from its old reputation.
That's right. I mean, I guess, depending on what memories you're recalling, right? But
we're trying to get away from Snooki and the gang. Nothing against Snooki,
that's
but
right. That is one of the perception issues that I think the borough needs to overcome looking forward to the future. But we have a redevelopment planning practice throughout the state. We've done some work down on the shore over the years, and we applied for the job and interviewed, and we really enjoyed meeting with Mayor Vaz and believe they have a great vision for where they want to go with the borough. And you know, now the next step is to really help them facilitate some actual projects. They've done a lot of planning over the years. The next step is to really start to see some action. So that's where we're coming into
They did a
play.
lot of planning. Now you come in and do planning too. You try to make the vision of the municipality's plan into a reality plan?
Yeah, I think, you know, over the years there's been a lot of kind of overall vision planning for the borough. And even right now they're working on a master plan reexamination. The role of our firm is to really help the borough on some really site-specific projects to begin to realize their vision through some actual development.
Well, Seaside, once you get a block off the boardwalk, it's almost like falling off a cliff.
Exactly.
There. You know, the boulevard, a lot of empty stores. At one time, you can see there was a light and there was a life and a vibe to it.
Right.
But something disappeared, and there's so many more things we can do now than just go to the beach. So that's probably what caused those stores.
That's right. I mean, Boulevard is the emphasis because that's seen a pretty significant decline over the year, and because of that, it's actually probably the area that has the most opportunity in terms of, you know, accommodating some new development that's kind of consistent with a shore character town.
Well, that's one of the things when we come back from commercial. You know, you talk about dealing with Bayonne and North Bergen, like I'm sure Jersey City.
Right.
Now, Seaside, you know, that still has to have the shore vibe to it.
Agree.
Now, you mentioned before we were talking, before we rolled cameras, that you worked in Asbury Park. You helped them.
That's right.
See, I don't want Seaside to look like Asbury Park. Now, don't take this wrong, Asbury, but Asbury Park to me is Jersey City with a boardwalk. But we're going to break for commercial. We'll be back with Keenan. You're watching The Weekly Show. We'll be right back.
Rama Jewelers, located in the Lyndhurst Shopping Center at 413 Valley Brook Avenue, Lyndhurst. Come for all your jeweler needs at Rama Jewelers, where you will find a fine selection of necklaces, earrings, rings, and bracelets. Choose from one of our complete sets, our many signature items, or find the perfect engagement ring. Come on down. That's Rama Jewelers at 413 Valley Brook Ave, Lyndhurst. Call 201-939-5784 or visit us online today.
We're back. You're watching The Weekly Show. My guest is Keenan Hughes. He's a urban planner and redeveloper. And now you're in my second home, Seaside Heights. We have a studio down there ready to roll, productions. And you talk Bayonne, you talk Jersey City, and Newark, North Bergen. It's completely different down there. And you mentioned that it's not like where we do it here in the North Hudson. We'll blight a whole blocks and blocks. There, it's kind of select. Why are there select parcels of land for redevelopment?
Well, it's a different model. I mean, way back in the day, back in the 80s, you know, you saw a lot of municipalities clearing full blocks and trying to assemble them and bring in developers and redevelop. Hits and misses. I mean, it didn't always work. Asbury Park actually
I was about to say hit and miss. That could be Asbury Park. You look at urban
they've
planning.
certainly struggled for many years. I mean, now there's obviously a lot of momentum there, but the original model just didn't quite work. So in Seaside Heights, we're really looking at more site-specific projects, working with individual property owners to use the redevelopment statute to do things like, you know, rezone the property to attract private investment, you know, bring in...
Is the redevelopment the entire borough, or is Mayor Boz concentrating on the Boulevard area?
Really focusing on the Boulevard area. Although there may be other opportunities outside of that, but the theme is really to revitalize Boulevard. And so there's a number of sites along that corridor that are certainly viable for new redevelopment projects.
Well, what Seaside Heights needs, you know, from, I'll say, May to the end of September, it's Seaside, it's the boardwalk, it's the beach.
Right.
After that, you know, I can lay down on the boulevard and not get hit by anything. You know, that's what Tony wants to bring something
Exactly.
in to
I think it's right. It's about making it more family-oriented. It's about making it a year-round community, a year-round destination.
But their bills are year-round.
That's right. I mean, there's you know, dining and entertainment. I mean, that can occur on a year-round basis. Obviously, the summer is always going to be the peak, but there's a lot of opportunity to do things more annually.
I really think that is the land of opportunity down here. You're right off the ocean. You're on the boulevard. You're like a block away.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Jersey coast and kind of, you know, development opportunities within a block of the beach, you know, where you can get those tremendous views, you can enjoy the boardwalk. You know, Seaside Heights has to be right up there.
My kids are looking for a home in Seaside Heights. so they can move me and my wife down there, which I'm not arguing. You know, I'll commute to Jersey City. I have no problem with that.
Right.
We'll rent out the home here. There's one structure. It's a skeleton, a steel skeleton. I don't know what that was supposed to be, a motel, a hotel, or whatever the hell it was supposed to be.
Yeah. So
I know that's one of Tony's visions there.
Right. I mean, that's clearly a problem that needs to be fixed. I mean, it's an existing failed project, which is now a steel skeleton 60 feet in the sky. It's really the first thing you see when you turn on a boulevard.
Yeah,
which,
it's pretty ugly too.
You know, that's a perception and sort of a stigma thing that's very challenging to overcome when you try to bring in, you know, new investors, new developers, new residents, new business owners.
Now, what you're doing, how does that bring that in? How, with your urban planning and your development program, how does that bring the investors in?
Well, we're trying to, that property in particular, look at using the redevelopment statute to essentially rezone that property to provide, you know, more flexibility, to bring in a developer with a new program, a new mixed-use, you know, scenario that makes sense for the community, and hopefully it's something that's able to utilize that existing, you know, steel structure that's in the ground.
What is Tony looking for? What are you looking? Residential on top floors, retail on the bottom?
I think on Boulevard, a mix of uses that would be, you know, restaurants and retail within the ground floor and residential on top. Just as sort of a starting point, it probably makes the most sense. I mean, that's your key mixed-use corridor.
Yeah.
You want a lot of pedestrian traffic there. I mean, that's really the downtown.
And it's amazing. There's parking available down there. There's buses that go. You know,
Yes.
It's really an area you almost question and say, why doesn't the boulevard work?
That's right. Yeah. So I think I see tremendous opportunity there. I know, you know, the leadership and the borough mayor Vaz, they share that vision.
Well,
for
he's a
Seaside
totally
Heights.
different mayor than before with Hershey and Acres. Tony Vaz, he's very progressive. He wants to change the reputation and the outside outlook to Seaside Heights.
Yeah.
He definitely wants to go family, and he wants to bring a year-round connected. If there's, you know, we're talking about gambling, you know, out of Atlantic City, they should put slot machines or something like that in Seaside.
Well, that's not something we're contemplating at this time, but I
I
think
would go for it in a minute, yeah.
overcoming those perception issues, you know, bringing in a couple of new high-quality, really successful projects along Boulevard, I think would go a long way to...
We got anybody on a line that we're kind of...
Well, there's, you know, we're working with property owners. There are people interested. I mean, like I said before, anytime you can provide development opportunities that are a block from the beach, a block from the boardwalk, you can get, you know, potentially some nice views. I mean, there's going to be interest out there.
Really, it's amazing because you got buses, because there's the bus stop is right outside. You know, more than a bus stop, it's like a whole area where the buses pull in there. I hate to use bus, more like a bus terminal there, right outside my studio. You got mass transit, you got parking. The town runs its own electric company. It seems so advantageous for a business person with some business savvy and some money to come down.
Yeah, and I think also, you know, talking to people throughout the state. I mean, so many people have really fond memories of Seaside Heights, you know, growing up.
And you want to keep those memories.
That's
too.
right. I think that's part of, we want to sort of recreate that atmosphere, and that's kind of part of the overall vision. But we think Seaside Heights resonates with a lot of people, so there's a lot of potential interest out there in the state.
But the main thing is you got to keep the shore feel. When you come into Seaside, you know you're in a shore town. They got the bungalow kind of houses, one story, double thin, some weird architecture, and somebody built these things after the war. And you don't want to repeat the mistakes of Asbury Park, like
That's
I said
absolutely
before.
right.
Asbury Park, Jersey City with a boardwalk.
Right.
How long do you figure before your plan comes to fruition?
Well, we have a few things sort of in the hopper over the next couple months. You're going to start to see some movement on some individual projects.
I'll bring you down when we're shooting the shore show on the boardwalk in Seaside on Franklin Street, right on the board. I'll bring you back and we'll see where you're at.
That sounds great.
All right, that wraps up the show. We're out of time. I want to thank Michelle, Freeholder Bill O'Day, Keenan Hughes. I'm Pat O'Melia. You be good, you be safe. I'll talk to you during the week. Good night.